don't make us who we are. So I'll dream until I make it real, and all I see is.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mentorship Mondays with Michelle and Maren. So we were just going to get carried away and just keep on talking. But
I know.
you reminded me to hit the record button. How you doing, Maren?
I know. Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. What do we got going today?
Okay, so I asked Eric what we should talk about today, and he said balance. And right. And then I was like, okay, and like obviously brought up like mind, body, soul, and connection, and all of these things. And when I got on with you, I think one of the very first things you said was mind, body, soul. And I was like, oh my gosh, how strange. So I really do feel like we should talk about balance today, and
Yes.
maybe the mind, body, soul balance,
I'm going to show you
or
something.
balance to
I'm
each.
going to show you something.
Okay.
I'm going to show you. Okay, I'm folding it up because I don't want to have somebody's name that I just had for a client. But so I already asked Eric, what are we going to talk about today? Okay. And so he says, how do we get centered? How do we get grounded? Are you scattered? Are you stressed? Are you busy? Do you have too many demands? Nurturing. And he even gave me an affirmation. So I think that's amazing. I just wrote that there as I'm like, okay, we'll just see what comes up. But that's what he told me. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah,
Okay, good.
we're on the same track.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Eric's like, of course.
um Okay, well, do you want to start? I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know. Like,
Oh, sure. Well, I was just thinking, when Eric shared this with me earlier, I said, does that have to do with where we are energetically right now? And he goes, well, yeah, but I mean, this has to do with any time of our life because I mean, we're all going through a process. We're all on a journey, whether we're consciously aware of it or not, we are. And, but we had a full moon yesterday. I think it was yesterday or today. Today's the what, 7th? So
mhm.
yesterday was the 6th. Of course, like Maren and I filmed this a little earlier than you guys are seeing it, so today is Monday. But uh so there is an intensity whenever we do have a moon or anything. There is an intensity, and if you follow astrology and those types of things, you'll understand that. But um we are also at the beginning of a new year. Um and I was just saying to Maren a couple moments ago before she reminded me to hit the record button that everything is in cycle. Everything. So think about how everything is circular. Like the mandala is circular, the sun is round, the moon is round, the earth is round. If you look at a snail and you look at the snail shell and you see how everything, think about cells, blood cells, everything goes in this circle, in this cycle. And so everything has this start and an end. But then when we look at it as a whole, it really has no end and no beginning, right?
Oh my gosh. Sorry.
Yeah.
The other thing too that he showed me is like the yin and the yang, like the
Yes.
balance
Yes.
circle. Yeah.
Yes. And that's exactly it. So the yin and the yang, meaning that there is a perfect balance. We also have to understand that our cycles, our circle, as we have an auric field around us, spirit will come as consciousness and spirit energy comes in orbs, in circles, right? So we have a perfect balance, but that doesn't mean that our perfect balance is in comparison to somebody else's. That doesn't mean that it's like this 50-50, got to be this way and this way. What this means is, what do you need to feel in balance? What is
Yes.
your perfect balance? And what is your perfect balance today? Because that might be slightly different tomorrow because we have many different, um, our environment, what we're doing, why we're doing it, all of those things play into part of it as well. But what Eric was telling me earlier was the importance of keeping ourselves grounded. Um, we look at any time of year. I always say it's a busy time of year. We're talking about Christmas and all that we just got through. But for me, any time is busy. I've got family, I've got readings and the different types of readings, and my house and my parents, and a husband, and like all of these different spinning plates that are happening. And we all have multiple spinning plates. And the other thing is too is Eric says that with so much going on in the world, whether it's on the big stage or in our own lives, in our community, in our families, there's drama. There's things that are going on, and we can get caught up and pulled into the chaos of what's happening, and that can create an imbalance in us as well. And especially if you're watching this, you're likely very sensitive to energy, and you're likely an empath. And so you can become imbalanced by the environment quite easily if you're not careful. And to understand what imbalance feels like, for me, feels like a sense of I'm rushing from one thing to another and not able to catch my breath. I might have multiple things on my brain, like I need to get this done, I need to get this done, I need to get this done. And I might sit there for like 5 minutes, like, where do I even start? Because I'm all over the place. I don't know, it's that feeling of not being able to catch my breath. Other people have reported to me similar types of things. But this is also where we get states of depression and apathy, and where we also get sickness and anger and resentment, because when we're not grounding our energy, when we're not centering and balancing ourselves, then we sometimes we go into a state of resistance or denial, where we're detaching from things that we need to, or sometimes we're putting too much into one pile and not into another. And that starts to pop up in different areas of our life, where all of a sudden we're running around with a hot mitt, like trying to put out fires all over the place. So, you really have to, first of all, understand, what does it feel like to be in chaos? Identify what that is, because we always want to start with, I need to accept a certain state that I'm in, that I am not pleased with, or that I would like to change. I need to understand the value of, why do I need to balance myself, to then understand the value of doing the work to balance yourself. What are you gifting yourself?
I feel like there's a lot of people that don't even realize that they are out of balance.
Absolutely.
There's that thing about the frog. When the frog jumps in boiling water, he jumps out. But when the frog's put in normal water and they turn it up to a boil, he doesn't jump out.
Yeah.
Like, some people might not even notice that there is a lack of balance.
And that makes a lot of sense. That's a really good analogy, because when we get accustomed to it, when we start to get used to it, I know that there was a time where stress was almost addictive to some point for me, because the stress is what pushed me to do things, not realizing, like, that's the way I would try and think of it. I'd be like, oh, okay, like, I need to be in a state of stress to get this done.
Yes. Also, I feel like some people wear stress as like, you have to be stressed or you're not productive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, well, I'm so stressed because of this, this, and this. And if I don't feel stressed, then I'm not a productive person, or
Right.
yeah, like,
Right. Like, I
I
need
don't know. I feel like
pressure.
I used to, yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like I used to wear that on my sleeve, like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's very true. And it goes back to the belief of, you know, I have to, what's that saying? Um, the grind. Like, I have to do the 9 to 5 grind. I have to do the, like,
yeah,
push, push, push. And it's that, very generational, of course, too, because coming from generations where many parents had, two parents at home working, and There was that sense
Mhm.
of I've got to succeed, and success being, if I'm not putting blood, sweat, and tears into everything, then what am I really doing with myself? We no longer live in that energy. Not to say that that doesn't exist, but working hard does not have to be killing ourselves.
I agree. We've really come out of that.
Yes.
I
And
agree.
and there's a really big shift that COVID provided for us, because at no other time in the world did the entire world shut down. As challenging as that was for many people, there was also the gift in the sense that we were given an opportunity to be able to take stock of our life, to be able to look at what it was that we were doing. Some were forced to work at home, some lost jobs, changes that occurred that might not have occurred otherwise. And I know many people had come to me that went through major changes, relationship changes, job changes, complete career
Yeah.
changes, changing like physical locations, all kinds of things that happened because of that. And although hard, although challenging, and what is good for us is not always the easiest thing for us, but when we go through a state of surrender, we're able to start to experience something different. We can allow something different into our lives. Now, we all don't have to go through the catastrophe of having everything shut down. We all don't have to have a catastrophe. What we can do for ourselves is we can give ourselves the gift of taking stock of where we are right now. And that is the inner work of being able to identify, what am I happy with? What am I not happy with? What brings me joy? What doesn't bring me joy? Do I find myself rushing around like this because why? What is it giving me? Why do I think I have to do that? Right? Is it
Mhm.
somebody else's belief? Is it somebody else that, do we have a parent that we can hear in our ear that says, if you don't do things this way, then, then you're not doing it right? Or we
I feel
feel we have
like
to impress somebody?
I feel like that goes with that activity from last week about writing down what you want to make more room for and what you
Yeah,
don't want to make room for anymore. And so if it's like feeling stressed,
yeah.
then this week, right, why are you feeling stressed? What things in your life, dig deeper for what that is.
Hmm. Hmm.
That makes sense. I know you mentioned grounding.
Yeah.
Um, as far as a way to feel more balanced. And then one time before, I don't know, I've always thought of grounding as digging deep into the earth, which would make me feel like I'm going down with my root chakra so I can go up with my crown chakra kind of a thing. But then I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, you said really grounding is about centering yourself and has to do with the solar plexus
Hmm.
chakra.
Hmm.
So is there anything you can expand on that as far as like grounding in your solar plexus or
Well, solar plexus, and also in like our lower chakras. So our solar plexus, our sacral, and our root chakra. And so
okay.
it's in those chakras we hold our connection to the earth, our connection to our home base. And home base
Okay.
doesn't have to be our physical home base, but what is your home base in your mind? Um, breathing, breathing into the lower chakras. So this is more on the energetic level of aligning those lower chakras, aligning them to the earth, grounding them into the earth. And also, what can we do to appease each one of those? Because that's trust, creativity, sexuality, as well as our connection into our home base, our family, food, nutrients, nurturing. Because all of those components, nurturing is all connected into those bottom chakras. So, for example, a cup of coffee, right? So, a cup of coffee is actually very grounding. And if you are a coffee drinker, having a cup of coffee can ground your vibration. Now, 10 cups of coffee is not going to give you extra grounding, but 1 cup of coffee, and it's what are you doing with that, right? So, sorry, I've got something caught in my throat. So if I'm saying, okay, I need to ground myself, and I'm going to do that with a cup of coffee. What I'm doing with that is I'm not running with my cup of coffee and running all over the place and drinking it as I go. I'm finding a moment to sit on my own or to sit quietly. And I'm going
Okay.
to sip that cup of coffee and enjoy every sip of it. And I'm just going to relax and take a deep breath. And I'm going to enjoy whether it's looking out the window. I'm not going to scroll on my phone. I'm not going to, distract myself with anything else. I'm going to be present. I'm going to be present in whatever my home space is. And so that doesn't matter where I am physically. My home space is present within myself. So that's my root chakra. That's those lower chakras.
Okay. So
Physicality.
that reminded me of like you're just doing the coffee almost to have like a mini meditation, like a mini just take time, breathe, be not be distracted, just check in with yourself.
Yeah.
Which reminded me of something that Eric said was I read something recently about to get habits going, you have to choose consistency over intensity. So like I think for me, when I first awakened, every time I would meditate, it was like this just like earth moving experience because it was all these things that had never happened to me before.
Yeah.
And then I almost kind of like I was talking to you the other day, like I almost like hesitate to meditate now because I'm like afraid that it's not going to be this earth, why,
Yeah.
or I'm afraid that it is, and I'm gonna have to like process that for 5 days, right?
Yeah.
Just so,
Yeah.
so I get like nervous. And then Eric said, just do, I think that was even last week. He said, just do it small, just do it when you're on the toilet, do it when you're,
Yes.
just have that 5 minutes in. And so he brought that up again, was just like, because I always, when I heard that, like, oh, consistency over intensity, I thought, oh, okay, that has to do with working out. But then when Eric told me today, I was like, duh, that works for meditation too. Like, just do it.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be big. Just check in, just breathe.
Yeah.
So that, yeah. Then they say like if you do it consistently, then your intensity will go up over time. So don't worry about it being this amazing
Exactly.
meditation. It just has to be a meditation. Like,
Yeah.
and then one other thing that he reminded me of is that they say it's 5 minutes. 5 minutes after you do something for 5 minutes, your body will generally accept it and want to keep going.
Yes.
And so if you just tell yourself 5 minutes is all I need to do,
That's right.
likely you'll keep doing it.
Yeah.
So even if it's a walking meditation or whatever.
Yeah.
So okay,
right.
so balance.
That's right.
And then
So grounding, like, and being able to just do something that feels good for as long as you're able to do it, and if that's 5 minutes a day, that is great. That is great because it will
also
extend to
sounded
more.
Yeah. And it also sounded like when you were mentioning all those different things that those lower chakras are in charge of, they all reminded me of like my body, like they were all very physical things. Like I could not repeat them now, but that's what it kind of came to me when you said them. Which makes me think, okay, there's other things besides just meditation maybe I could do to ground myself, like going on a walk or exercise or eating, like, and then you mentioned the coffee.
Yep.
What
Food,
else?
very
Like,
grounding. Food and going
yeah.
through the process of Eric had shared with me before, and I do this every now and again. I do this and it always brings me back. It is very grounding, and when I'm eating a meal, especially something that is my favorite that I really enjoy, and he's working with me right now to help me choose food that I really enjoy. Like, do you really want to eat that? Because are you eating that just because it's quick? Or do you actually enjoy that? Or why don't you pick something you actually enjoy? And so working through that, but taking each bite and chewing it and actually like tasting the flavor of it and going through that process, because that is a grounding experience and that is a very physical process. I'm tasting it, I'm swallowing it, I can feel it, it's nourishment. And that is all part of our own centering and balance.
Yeah. And that's what they say too. That's another grounding thing to do, is just walk outside and say, name one thing you can smell, one thing you can see, one thing you
Yes,
can hear,
yes.
right?
That's a great thing to
Okay.
do if you're feeling uh if you're feeling extremely anxious. That's also something that's really helpful for a lot of people that suffer from PTSD. And
Mm.
go into a panic attack or something, is to be able to you know to feel, to smell, to focus on one thing, to bring yourself back into your body. There's a lot of these experiences that we have when we are, I call it flailing all over the place, when we're flailing from one thing to another, which I would always call myself like willy nilly. That's how I felt. I was willy nilly. I was like, oh, well, whatever, one thing to the next. I'm easygoing. But I was really bouncing all over the place. And it was chaotic. And it was chaotic for me. It was chaotic probably for other people to watch too. But um, when you can kind of slow things down, when you can be able to get into your body and actually feel into your body, because when you're willy-nilly and flailing around, you're rising in those upper chakras. And for those of us that are connected through the upper chakras, especially with a lot of spiritual stuff, we're filling ourselves with a lot of spiritual knowledge, we can become untethered. So we're never disconnected, but it's like not being really grounded into the physical life, where everything becomes up here and we flail around. We're all over. So it's like bringing in all of this wisdom and knowledge. But
Mhm.
how do I bring it into the physical? How do I get something done? How do I follow
Oh, I
through?
I feel that. Like I could for 3 hours say that I'm cleaning, and then at the end of 3 hours, the house still looks the same because I've just been like, and I really do. I feel like, oh my God, I think I just need to meditate. Like I think I can feel that I just need to pull
Yeah,
back down.
yeah,
I'm going to try these
yeah,
things. Breathe.
yeah. And they do really help. What else we worked on? Oh, I'll say the affirmation. And then I'm going to tell you something funny about Eric, because Eric paid me a little visit last night in my dream. I'm going to tell you
Okay.
something about that. But um, the affirmation was, I am grounded like an oak tree and centered in my present life now.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah. So that's just something simple that we can say.
I love that.
Yeah, when we're, just to affirm, and we can repeat that to ourselves and take that moment and sip your coffee or chew your food or
Hold on.
yeah.
Say it one more time.
It is, I am grounded like an oak tree and centered in my present life now.
Okay.
Yeah,
So can I tell you something so interesting?
yeah, yeah.
So my meditation place, like they make you visual, like when I
Mhm,
visualize, it is a tree. I'm standing or sitting or whatever under a tree.
mhm.
I can never figure out what tree this is. Like it's like, I don't know, it's not like a weird random tree. It's
Yeah,
just, it's got a trunk and it's got a nice round,
yeah.
what do you call that?
Foliage,
Not bloom.
whatever.
Yeah, what did
Foliage,
you say? Foliage? Yeah,
foliage.
whatever. Um, and like I'll look at a tree and I'll be like, is that it? No, that one's too short. Is that it? No, that one's too tall. Like, is that it? No, that, goes up more. And yesterday I was like driving past a tree and I go, that's the tree. I'm pretty sure it's an oak tree. And I
Yeah,
just feel like that was Eric saying, yes,
yeah,
it's an oak tree.
definitely,
Like that was meant
definitely.
for me.
Yeah,
That is why.
definitely. Yeah, he's been very present. So I've been asking him for like quite a while. I have not had a dream visit with him for quite a while. So I can't even remember. I just saw, ooh, go behind you, like a little.
I saw something there earlier, so
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I can't remember the last time I had something with him that was like substantial. I know there's moments where I'll see him or I'll know that he's there, but where I've actually had a visitation, I think it's been probably over a year since I've had a really good visit. So I've been asking him, and I think it was last week I was asking him like every night and nothing was happening, so I just let it go. I'm like, okay, well just come when you come, okay? I actually kind of forgot about it, and last night I wake up this morning and I felt like he was with me the whole night, right? Because it just kind of went from one scene to the next. It was just like one thing to the next. But where I first remember him was I was actually talking to Elisa, and Elisa's not been feeling very well this week. And so she was actually sick in bed. And I was talking to her, and as I was talking to her, like there was healing that was happening. And all of a sudden, I feel something behind me, and I look, and it's Eric on a skateboard. And he goes, "Vroom," this way. And then he comes, "Vroom," back this way. And he just keeps pacing on this skateboard behind me. And I said to Elisa, I'm like, there's Eric. I said, there he goes. And I'm like, and there he goes again. I said, he's like going back and forth on the skateboard. She goes, oh, he does that all the time. That's what he always does, And the next thing you know, I'm standing in this room with him, and there's other people there. I don't know who the other people are, but he's got his hand like back behind my head, and I know that nobody else can see him, right? But I can see him. And he's like right here. He's got his hand behind my head, and he's moving it like I'm a ventriloquist. Like he's making me talk. And he kept making me say shitty shit, 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 shitty shit, 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 shitty shit, 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 shit. Like he just kept making me say that over and over again. And there was something else that was, I don't want to say vulgar, but it was like shit something else that he had me say. And I remember thinking in my head, I gotta remember that. That is funny. I have to remember that. And I don't remember what it was. But maybe it'll
Oh,
come to
that's
me
funny.
later. But I thought that was really interesting. And then the next thing you know, I was myself and there was somebody else in the dream too, but Eric was there and I was being gifted this. Get this how detailed this was. It was a bag put in front of me with ribbons, and on the ribbons it said Cartier all over the ribbon. And I opened it up and it was so beautiful. It's like these silk ribbons in this silk bag, and it was a beautifully done up gift. It was like a Christmas gift. And I opened it all up, and it was this beautiful black little velvet box. And I opened up the box, and it was a Cartier watch. And it was this black little like leather band with a tiny little beautiful like little face and a little diamond, and then there was this gold bracelet that was woven on top of the leather. Like there was like almost like there's little holes in the watch, and the gold bracelet went in and out of the
Okay, yeah.
holes on it,
Yeah.
and it was Cartier. Like I don't even ever remember looking at Cartier anything. Like I know what it is, but like why it would be that, I don't know. And I'm not sure what it means other than I did some investigating this morning to look up what it means, and I was getting how gold on a bracelet or on your wrist can signify walking with God or walking with God's honor, God's purpose. And the time can mean a couple things. I mean, time can mean um, prioritize, pay attention to your time, which is exactly what I've been doing this week because I've worked very hard this week and getting things done and really trying to pay attention to my time that I'm spending on things. And that, but it can also mean it's time for something new, time for a gift, and the ventriloquist, the moving. So I feel like there's something that's happening there. So it's a little bit cryptic, but we'll see what comes out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, see things like that, just they take me off the whole day. Like
Yeah,
I just think about it all
I
day. Like
know.
what could that
Like, what does
be?
that mean? And what does that? I know.
Yes.
It was so
Yes.
interesting, but it was so cool to be able to see Eric in that, like, that locked in moment where it's not like I'm seeing his arm or just like seeing like his side and knowing that it's his face, but not really seeing his face because that's
Yeah.
often how it is. But it was like I saw him. I locked eyes with him. Like it was a um, very real visitation. So
So,
thanks,
okay,
Eric.
this is just, I just love how spirit works too. So this week I went and got a facial
Yeah.
and my esthetician knows that I do this. So I was
Mhm,
open with her
mhm.
and I said, you have a grandma here. Do you have a really skinny grandma from the other side? She goes, and her name starts with a T. And she said, yes, that's my grandma. She just passed away recently. Her name's Tati or something. I don't
Yeah.
remember. And I was like, oh my gosh. But what was really strange, and I didn't mention this detail, was that when she walked forward, she kind of like walked forward and put her like hand kind of like this on a table. And she was wearing a gold bracelet. And I never mentioned the gold bracelet because I was like, I don't know, what if like she doesn't have a gold bracelet? What if she's just like wearing this? And now I'm like, oh my gosh, I really feel like
She was
maybe
showing
she
you
was
that.
trying to say she was
Yeah.
walking with God. Gold bracelet on the wrist means you're
Yeah.
walking. Like I feel
Yeah.
like that was like another message for me because I've been
Yeah.
thinking about the gold bracelet
Yeah.
like all week. Like why
Yeah.
didn't I say that to her?
Yeah.
So,
And you
oh
know
my
what?
gosh, that's
All of those things come from it's just doing it over and over, right? And
mhm.
researching because like I don't know, like I don't and that's and you and I both were talking about that, like we're not being given everything verbatim. Like it's not like
Mhm.
that, right? So we're building a vocabulary with spirit and
Right.
using all these different ways. So, like, whether it's in dream state or this state or that state, and we're building these understandings and meanings, then the more that spirit is able to use our Rolodex of understanding something, they'll use it again. And they'll use it
Yeah.
so then we know. And then we're building this whole way of communicating. And I don't know about you, but when I like, when I'm speaking to somebody, like I had a spirit yesterday that the person that I was talking to, they were bringing forward a soul that they wanted a message for friends, right? For their loved one. So it wasn't their connection, it was somebody they knew. But those people are very closed off. So we know what happens when there's a lot of skepticism or somebody that's closed off, it really blocks that communication. And so this soul was using like a little bit of imagery and it was like it just felt like the pulling the energy through a tiny little straw was so hard to get anything out, which takes a lot of energy to do that, right? And but it was interesting because they were still communicating, but they were giving me a lot of like it was like playing 20 questions, and when something was right I'd get this like energy fluctuation in my body to like say that was right. But anyway, I don't even know why I'm saying that. Why I even went off on that tangent in the first place. I need to ground myself.
Oh my gosh. No, I
Oh
just
my
love the
god.
stories. I
Yeah.
obviously clearly your
Oh, I
story
know what I was saying
today.
because we learn like it's like I
Oh,
knew
through.
what once I knew okay this is for somebody else, and I knew that this person doesn't want, like they don't believe in
Hmm.
this because this loved one is like not really that interested in giving something because why am I going to give it? Because it's not for the benefit of anything other than proving that I'm here. And spirit, that's not what they're going to do. They're not going to, it's a different intent. They're not going to just, they want you to know that they're there, but this is also honoring your journey of discovery as well.
Hmm.
And when you're in the state of, I don't believe, well, it's all going to seem like magic tricks unless you are ready for your own experience.
Mhm.
Because even if that spirit came through and gave all this validation, that person would be like, well, you told her what this person's name was and looked it all up, and she, like, do you know what I mean? Not that they would think that of
Mhm.
that person, but that's the idea, because that stuff does happen. There are
Oh
people
yeah.
out there that do that. Yeah. So,
That's great. Well,
yeah.
thank you so much, Michelle. I love it. I love that knowing. I heard this to end. I heard this as well that peace. We're all looking for peace in the new year, and why can't my life go easy? And there's no such thing as your life going easy. And to achieve peace, you need to achieve balance. And I forgot my quote. Let me see if I got it.
Both need to achieve some grounding and balance today to remember what we're saying. It's the best.
But something about like like the yin and the yang, like
Yeah.
that you'll never have peace. There's always a yin and the yang.
Yeah.
And so to
Yes.
get peace, you really need to focus on balance. So that was
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
you said my whole thing and I was thinking of more and there wasn't more.
To achieve peace, be peace.
Right.
Be it.
And yeah, and just focusing, like, know that there's no all of life, all of earth is chaotic and chaos. Like, there's always change. The moon's always changing, the seasons are always changing, everything's changing. And apparently this year is going to be all about change. So I'm so excited. And right. And but just like, no, there will never not be change. There will never be like, steady peace. Like there will never be a stoppage of change. There's always change. And so to cope with that, so you don't feel so frazzled, and everything that Eric said earlier is to create the balance and the grounding.
Right. To help you go through that. There's a sign hanging at my when you come in my house, and hanging at the front, there's a sign that says, the one thing that is always consistent is change. To remind us that is just a part of walking this journey, that everything is in flux and motion. We are always in motion. Even when you think we're not, the world is always spinning, everything is always turning, everything is always changing. And so becoming flexible and learning how to create that inner balance and that peace within ourselves allows us to go anywhere, no matter what changes on the outside. We have the tools within us to create peace anywhere at any time, no matter what the circumstances are. Yeah, good topic. Thanks, Eric.
I like it. I know. Thanks.
All
Okay.
right.
I
Okay,
think that,
everybody. That's good, eh? All right, everybody. We will see you next week for another episode. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.
yes. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.